Welcome to the Inspire, Create, Manifest podcast. I'm Joe Longo, and this is where we cut through the noise, return to simplicity, and reconnect with what actually matters. If you are ready to think for yourself, trust yourself, and create a life that feels true, you're in the right place. Now let's get into today's episode. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Inspire, Create, Manifest podcast. What if the thing that's keeping you stuck isn't confusion, but avoidance? What if the thing that is keeping you stuck isn't confusion, but avoidance? I've been sitting with this for a couple of days, conversations with clients, and sometimes maybe you feel like you've been consuming podcast after podcast, maybe this podcast over and over again, which I appreciate you being here. Thank you. I love it. Maybe you find yourself reading book after book, listening to podcast after podcast, and waiting for that perfect sign before you make the next big move. Today's episode, I'm going to try to challenge you in the best possible way. Because here's the truth. Even though I have a podcast and I wrote a book, the truth is most y'all don't need more information. Most of you need a decision to simply make a decision. And today we're going to explore the hidden addiction of getting ready. That's right, the hidden addiction of getting ready. And why high capacity, high achievers, high capable people stay stuck in analysis paralysis. And how clarity is often something that appears after the movement happens, not before it's even begun. There's a strange comfort that we all have in consuming information, in listening to another podcast that feels productive, in watching another video that feels like maybe we're learning something, in researching something just a little bit more because we feel like we're being productive. But sometimes it's not growth. Sometimes it's actually hiding. It's doing the thing that we think that we should be doing because, I'm doing something, but we're not actually doing what we should be doing. And there were moments in my life when I convinced myself that I was preparing for the next chapter, when what I was really doing was just postponing the discomfort of making the decision. Yeah, the discomfort of actually making the decision to say, I am going to do the thing. Because decisions actually change things. A real decision will close doors. A real decision will create momentum. A real decision forces identities to shift. And a lot of intelligent, self-aware people are struggling with this because they can see every possible outcome, all of them. Too many. And then they wait. They wait to feel certain. They wait to feel ready. And they wait for the fear to disappear. Because clarity rarely comes from sitting still in those thought loops, right? There's one of the deepest lessons that I've learned in my simplicity and awareness coaching and my space in between coaching. It's that awareness is not passive. Awareness becomes real when it's embodied through action. And our modern world rewards endless consumption. The algorithm absolutely loves your indecision because indecision keeps you in that doom scroll. And a person who keeps researching is still participating. Haven't decided. You're still consuming. Haven't decided. Still feeding the system and haven't yet chosen you. That's right. Chosen you. You haven't made the decision to say, I'm going to choose myself. When we do that, things start to change. Your energy organizes itself a little bit differently. Your attention sharpens a little bit differently. Your nervous system begins moving towards the coherence because you finally said, yes, I'm going to do the thing, whatever your thing is. And I'm all about taking the baby steps and saying, yes, let's do the research. Let's be prepared, but we have to actually make the decision. And that simplicity, of making the decision starts cutting through the illusion that you need one more answer or one more sign to prove to yourself that you're ready. Because sometimes the next obvious step isn't obvious until we started taking the steps, until we started following the path. So here's a practical way I invite you all to sit over the weekend. Ask yourself this question. Maybe you want to write this question down. What decisions have I already made internally but haven't honored externally? What decisions have I made internally that I haven't honored externally? Just the next honest decision. Maybe it's leaving something behind. Maybe it's finally starting. Maybe it's having that conversation that you keep putting off. Maybe it's saying no. Maybe it's saying yes. Maybe it's simplifying your life enough to actually start to hear yourself again. In my Space Between program, it's 6 weeks, and it's only 6 weeks. We can keep going after that. But in that 6 weeks, it is designed to get you clarity, to start listening to yourself again, to simplify your life enough that you start hearing yourself again and you start trusting that little voice. Not that at the end of 6 weeks, your whole life is figured out. If I can figure that out in 6 weeks, man, I would be a billionaire tomorrow. But this is just the beginning steps of actually saying yes to myself. Saying, yes, I'm going to do the thing. So this weekend, I want you to sit with that question of what decision did I already make, but I haven't honored, I haven't acted on. I've decided I'm going to do the thing, but I haven't. I decided I'm finally going to have the conversation, but I haven't had the conversation. And notice what comes up. Grab your journal and notice what flows out of you. Not to be judgmental, not to be hard on ourselves, but to simply bring awareness to what's going on. Where is the fear? What fear is showing up? And is that fear really real? Is it yours? And is it stopping you from allowing that decision that you already made to come to life? And a lot of us, we've made the decision, but we add on this phase, when I do this, then I can do that. I made the decision. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go enroll in a yoga teacher training I'm going to get Joe to be my coach and notice those things in your life that you have these stipulations around. Why do we have those stipulations? What if you made the decision even before you know how you are going to be able to do it? You made the decision, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to schedule that clarity call. I'm curious about becoming an integration coach. I am going to get on the phone and learn how to become an integration coach. I've decided I'm going to start writing my book and I'm going to make time to sit down and write my book. Most of the time, fear simply means your identity hasn't caught up with your own awareness. So we put this if then statement. This weekend, I want you to let go of those if then statements and just come back to that flashlight of awareness and notice the stories that we're telling ourselves. If this episode connected with you in any kind of way, if you are already there, the decision is sitting in your chest and you keep circling around, this is exactly the work that I help people with through the 6 week Space Between program. If you want to schedule your clarity call, simply follow the link in the show notes and take that first step. Make that decision for you. You don't need perfect certainty to begin. And you definitely don't need to consume another 100 hours of content to validate what your awareness and inner knowing is already telling you. And that's the deeper truth. Can we come back to the space of trusting ourselves? Because your life changes the moment that you stop researching your path and you start walking your path. The moment you stop researching your path and the moment you start walking your path. So take a small step, make the call, make the decision. And remember, simplicity isn't about having fewer choices, it's about becoming clear enough to choose and to choose you. Thanks for being here, everybody. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Do your homework, and I'll see you all back here on Tuesday.